The outdoors are great, except when they're not.
Welcome to the Not So Great Outdoors. We're your guides. I'm Piff.
And I'm Sav, and this is November's Sav Stories.
Dun, dun, dun.
Are you excited?
I'm very excited.
What are you drinking?
I am drinking a cranberry mimosa today.
I'm drinking a traditional mimosa, but with strawberry preserves, so it kind of muddies the waters a little bit, but it's yummy.
Mm-hmm. Because we are recording, well, we started on a Sunday morning-ish, like brunch time.
Yeah, but have done several things since then. So we've done a full episode, You Didn't Ask for This, and now we're doing Sav Stories. So.
Welcome to our lives.
This is like every Sunday. Well, no, not really. Most Sundays we do, on average, we've been doing at least 2 episodes a Sunday.
Yeah, just because we want to take time off around the holidays to not have to record.
But we don't want you guys to have to wait weeks to get a new episode. So
because we love
we're
you.
Doing this for you.
This is for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, I want to point out my sweatshirt just says it's a bunch of hocus pocus because it hasn't been Halloween yet, but by the time this drops, it'll be November 1st. But the day after Halloween, though.
And mine says, Ghost Babe.
And it's so cute.
I'm a fan. I'm so glad I got
I love the little smiley face.
Can you see?
I think they can see the smiley face. Yeah, it's super cute. But, okay. Well, Piff.
So what do you have for me?
I'm going to be really honest. I had to Google, infamous cases because I was just, out of ideas for this one. But I came across an interesting one. Okay. I kind of like it. It's not anything that's too majorly, but it brings up a lot of points that I'm like, but why?
Okay. And this is true crime, right?
Yeah, this is true crime. So, now are you excited? I'm so glad you're excited.
I get excited every week because I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. This is how she must feel.
That's how I feel, every time. Although, most recently, you've been like, okay, we're starting the podcast, da-da-da-da-da. I'm Piff, and I'm Sav, and this week, we're going to talk about whatever, but I have to tell you something. And I'm like, what is it? I'm really scared now, because the first time you did it, it was a Slender Man picture. Well. And so now, I'm like, oh, God. But no, it's all good. So, I first want to ask you, do you think there is such a thing as the perfect crime? Yes. Or that the perfect crime could be,
there are a lot of people who have gotten away with a lot of things.
Yeah.
So, I would say yes.
Okay.
And I will, because I know that you're not doing Jack the Ripper now.
I'm not.
Those were pretty perfect. We still don't know who did that. We don't know who Jack the Ripper was. He just,
And I think that's why, because we had talked about doing Jack the Ripper for for the viewers at home, because I was like, Pip, I don't know what to do. And
I was like, just do Jack the Ripper. We haven't talked about it yet.
Yeah. Last weekend, we were out of town, and it was very exhausting. We won't get into the gory details, but I was just not with it, not feeling it. So that's why I Googled infamous cases, because you have listened to way more true crime podcasts than I have, and I
love them.
And you love them. And I love them. I just haven't quite reached that level of dedication that it's there's a new episode out, I have to do. Because I still get really overwhelmed with the ones that I do really love because I'm so far behind. Mm-hmm. And I'm like,
And I think it helps because I'm the kind of person, my job really lends itself to me listening to podcasts all day. So I listen to podcasts 8 hours a day, 5 days a week.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a little easier for me.
Mine does not lend itself very well to that.
And then when I started listening, I had bought tickets to live shows pretty early, and I was like, I want to be caught up before the live show, so I was really dedicated to it, and then the live shows didn't get to happen because of COVID, but so that helped because I was excited for something. Yeah, so
I do really love the ones. So while we were traveling, we flew, and so I was able to listen to a couple of episodes while we were traveling, and I really got super into the one that I was listening to, and so I'm pumped about that because they've got plenty of episodes for me to listen to,
years worth,
which is really great, but. So I haven't heard anything that piqued my interest that I'd be like, oh, I want to talk about that. So that's why I had to Google, because I was like, I don't know what to do. But this one's pretty cool, and it's probably been covered. You've probably heard about it. It's fine, because I just wanted to talk about it. So, but the question of could the perfect crime be committed is what motivated and inspired what we're going to talk about today.
Okay.
So. Travel back in time with me, Pip. One of my favorite cities in the entire world is Chicago. mostly because I have a lot of really great memories tied to that city.
I would say I like Chicago better than some other big cities because it's like a Midwest big city,
right?
You know?
Yeah, I really do love Chicago. I went on a mission trip there. I went. That's where my now husband and I were. That's where we were, and like the day after he proposed, we went there with his family, and so I just have a lot of really great memories tied to it. And the day that we started talking, we met on Tinder for anybody who doesn't know. But the day after we started talking,
which we still have to do that for patrons. Your guys' story.
How we met, right? Yeah. Our story. But the day we started talking, I think, we matched, like, I don't know, it was really weird. So, like, but, like, pretty much the day we started talking, I was at a Cincinnati Reds, Chicago Bears baseball game. Oh. So I have a lot of, like, things tied to Chicago. And anytime somebody asks me what's my favorite, like, sports team, I always say the Chicago Bears. I actually don't care.
Really?
Bears, the Cubs. Sorry.
I was like...
Bears, what? No, the Cubs.
I think Bears is their basketball
or football.
Because the Cubs is their baseball
team. The Cubs
team.
Is what I meant. They were Cincinnati Reds, Chicago Cubs.
Yeah,
game.
I was just gonna let it slide.
It's fine. I'm tired, but anytime somebody asks me that, I always just say the Cubs.
You have to have an answer.
Yeah.
My answer for the longest time was the Pirates, the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I do love the Pittsburgh Pirates, but I'm more of a Reds fan because of my husband.
Yeah. I'm a Reds fan because of my dad, our dad, and Cubs fan because of my husband, who actually doesn't really care about the Cubs either. It's just we have connections to it. I used to say the Louisville Bats, which is our local baseball team.
And they feed into the Reds.
And they do. And that's a big reason why I really love it is because I love minor teams.
Yeah.
It's just more fun for me. Yeah.
And we're both more fun fans.
Yeah, we're absolutely fun fans.
I love going to sporting events and I love like wearing the little like jerseys and stuff, but like I'm not emotionally invested.
Like, I'm the person that's like, I hope both teams are having fun. Like that's for sure.
I hope I'm having fun.
I hope I'm having fun. Yeah. But at the Cubs-Reds game, I was like, heck yeah, I don't care how this game goes because I'm great. I'm going to win either way. Yep. It was great. So... but yeah, just a little background into me. But this takes place in Chicago in the early 1920s, which I think would have been kind of a fun time to like be in Chicago.
Would have been my time.
It would have been fun. So, travel back with me. Picture it, Chicago, 1924. Yeah. So, Nathan Leopold and Richard Loeb, L-O-E-B, Loeb.
L-O-E-B?
Yeah, I actually didn't look up how to pronounce this. I probably should have. Loeb? Loeb? I'm going with Loeb, like earlobe. Yeah. Either way, Nathan and Richard were young college students from wealthy, well-established Jewish families. They both graduated high school in their early teens, so around 14 and 15, and so they started university early as well, so like 16 and 17.
You know what's wild to me?
What?
Back in the day, they used to let people graduate whenever the hell they felt like it.
Really? Yeah.
And nowadays, like, so my baby brother is like basically a genius, and he's had the opportunity to skip 2 grades, and they let him choose, and he's like, no, like, why the hell would I want to do that? Like, why would you want to have to be an adult sooner?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
that's very
dude,
smart.
I get it. Like, I graduated at 17, and even then I was like, I could just hang out I don't want to like go beyond my own for another year.
Yeah, I was one of the youngest in my grade. Yeah. And it was, I was like, I'm good.
The youngest in my grade was like, she only was the youngest because she transferred from another school. So she started kindergarten at age 4, which they didn't allow unless your birthday fell within a certain range, which mine did.
Yeah, mine
So
did
until
too.
she moved, like, I was the youngest. And then she moved in, and her birthday was like December 4th.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Which is weird that I still remember that.
Yeah.
But it was like, how did you even start school? And she's like, well, at my old school, it was just as long as you turned 5 within the calendar year that you started.
You could start. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, so, So
very young.
They began college earlier in life than most. But, I mean, they started around, like, one was 15 and one was 16 or something like that. So it wasn't, like, for the one, it wasn't, like, too terribly early.
Yeah.
Because, like, I started when I was 17. I was 18.
17.
Yeah.
Which I still... Take a gap year, guys. If you haven't graduated high school and you're on Patreon, which, like, first of all, how'd you do that? Like, props to you. But also, like, take a gap year.
Yeah.
You do not need to start being responsible yet. I don't want to be responsible, and I'm 27.
I would disagree on the gap year part just because, like, if I had taken a gap year, there's a solid chance I wouldn't have gone to college. Like, there is a solid
I love
chance.
learning. Like, I want to get my
enjoy
master's
learning.
still. Like, I loved going to college and stuff, but I was
too.
not mature enough to be, like, in a situation by myself like that.
Yeah, I also commuted, though, so, like,
that's
helped
different.
a lot.
I was gonna say, if you have the ability to commute, also do that, because it's gonna save you a shit ton of money.
So much money.
But
like, you're like, how is it going to save me a lot of money? I'm still spending gas.
Well, but it's also like if you have the ability to commute. I didn't have a car when I started college, so I didn't have the ability to commute.
I was just lucky enough to live close enough to
I would
my
say
college.
if you're lucky enough to have a car and commute to college, wherever you're going to college, go to community college. It's the same degree. Nobody cares.
It doesn't matter.
And if you want to go to a private school, transfer for your last 2 years because that's when it's fun anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anywho. Okay.
But be mature enough before you go, like, out on your own is my big thing.
Yeah. So Nathan and Richard became unlikely friends in their preteen years. I'm pretty sure, like, from what I've read, that they lived in the same, like, established, like, wealthy community, like, their whole lives. And so, like, they've known each other for many years, but, like, became friends in their preteen years. And according to American Experience, which is a PBS publication and show, quote, Dickie, so Richard.
Hold on.
Dickie.
PBS did something about crime?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did.
That's all.
Yeah, which I thought was wild. They did.
I mean, PBS is public broadcast system, but, like, I always think
This
of, like, kids shows.
Yeah, like Mr. Rogers.
Yes.
Yeah. No, they have, like, all kinds of crime things on there, actually, I think.
I love PBS even more now.
Yeah.
Sorry, I keep interrupting.
You're fine. Quote, Dickie Loeb, or Loeb, whichever, charmed everyone with his good looks and cool manner. Awkward-looking Nathan Leopold tended to hide in his friend's shadow. But the two young men formed a powerful bond. Nathan was in love with Richard and would do anything he wanted for sexual favors. He later wrote... Oh. Yeah. He later wrote, quote within a quote, Love's friendship was necessary to me. Terribly necessary. End quote within a quote, but continuing the other one.
Can I speculate about how this is going to go? Because I don't recognize their names. Doesn't mean I'm not going to recognize the crime. But my current speculation is that the ugly one kills the hot one and then eats him.
No. I can go ahead and tell you no. Sorry.
When you have, like, words like that, I'm just like, you're gonna become a cannibal.
It's gonna get weird. Yeah.
It's gonna get weird up in here.
Yeah. Okay. Continuing the quote. His motive for the murder, he said, was to please Dick, inspired by his odd mix of philosophy, detective fiction, and misguided love.
So they're the murderers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if they were the murderers or the victims until just now.
They're the murderers. Leopold and Loeb, I don't know, hatched a plan to commit the perfect crime. It was not so much the idea of murder that attracted them, but the idea of getting away with murder. End quote.
I can get that. I would never kill anybody because I'm a softie and an empath, but...
I think there's other reasons that you wouldn't kill someone also.
No, like, we've talked about this before. Like, I wouldn't self-defense kill somebody because I'm a softie and an empath and I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
But I can get, like, the drive for perfection. It's like Alex Honnold does free solo climbs, and his drive is for a moment of perfection.
Yeah. Which, like,
have you watched that movie?
No, I have not. I'm not going to know.
Listen, he's a douchebag, but that's a good movie. The Dawn Wall's better, but
I just don't want to be like the whole time.
I mean,
obviously
we know he survived,
but still.
They put the movie on Discovery Channel.
Yeah. Maybe I'll think about it.
The Dawn Wall's better, so if we're gonna watch a climbing movie, we'll watch that one. But
the crime was committed on May 21st, 1924. I now refer to Richard as Dick because that's what he is.
Because he's a dick.
Because he's a dick. Dick and Nathan's plan included the kidnapping of a 14-year-old boy named Bobby Frank. Okay. Or, wait. It might be Frank's. It's Frank or Frank's. I wrote down Frank. That could be wrong. It's tickling something in the back of my brain. But just so you know, There's references in the description below, so you can look it up if you really feel so inclined. But
click on the link below.
Whether or not Dick and Nathan knew Bobby is unclear. Some sources say that he was a kid in their neighborhood, and some say that he was Dick's cousin. But either way, they kidnapped him.
How old were they when they did this?
I'm gonna go with like 18, 19, 19, 20, something like that. Very
late
early.
teens, early
late
20s.
Teens, early 20s. Okay. Yeah.
So still kind of stupid.
Oh yeah, the frontal lobes have not fully developed.
Not fully developed.
No. Let's see. Nevertheless, though, they kidnapped him, and this, I hate that it sounds like I'm just like, so this is what they did to him, but there's really no way to go around. You can't sugarcoat a murder. So here we go.
Yep.
They kidnapped him, beat him with a chisel, gagged him. Yep. I don't know. Gagged him and then hid him in the backseat of their car before dumping him in a culvert. Now, the car is also another inconsistency. We'll get back to the other details, but the car is another inconsistency because some sources say that it was one of the boys' cars, and then another source said that, or some other sources said that part of their plan was also to get a rental car and obscure the plates.
They're not. Well, I guess it was the 20s. But, okay. Do I not know what a chisel is? Isn't a chisel like the pointy thing that they use with a hammer to like... So were they like stabbing him? Or how do you beat somebody with a sharp object? I'm confused.
I'm confused too.
Was he dead by the time he went into the car?
He was dead by the time...
Did they beat him to death?
Basically. Okay. He was dead by the time he was dumped. Okay. So they went from the kidnapping, beating, and whatever into the car to the culvert where they dumped him. So
okay. So he could have died from blood loss. He could have died from blunt force trauma.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's not really like a clear
and
cause of death.
This is a good time to like throw in that sometimes when your cause of death could be blunt force trauma, but that's because like two people beat you, or it could also be blood loss because two people beat you. Yeah. Like your cause of death doesn't necessarily line up with the trauma. The means of death. Yeah. Because like medically you die from a thing that happened to your body. Yeah. And how your body reacted to it.
And so most of the time you see that kind of like cause of death, blood loss from trauma. Yeah. So, or something like that. So. Also, you want to know something that really bothers me, like as a grammar person and as a words person, when people say that they were shot to death. Yeah. I hate that. Fatally shot. Number one, it makes more sense. It flows better. And number two, I can't say it's more grammatically correct because it's not, but it just doesn't make me stop and go like, wait, what? Because you can be shot, but not shot to death. But like if you were shot to death, like fatally shot feels better to me.
Well, and there's like a difference, but there's also a difference. If you're fatally shot, I'm assuming that you're shot in the head, which ceased brain function. If you're shot to death, I assume that you died of blood loss.
I guess that also makes sense. But if you were fatally shot, the blood loss could have been the fatal, like,
yeah. Was the fatality. You can, like, be shot to death and not be,
Shot to death could also mean, like, they shot you 20 times.
Yeah.
But that's still,
you probably still died of blood loss.
Yeah. You were still fatally shot. And, like, fatally shot could be they shot you in the chest and it hit your heart. Or they shot you in the head and hit your brain. Like, I don't know.
I feel like fatally shot to me means they hit an organ and you died more instantly, whereas shot to death means there was a lot more shooting.
So many times
that you died.
I guess that makes sense. I don't know. It's just one of those things that when I read it, I'm like, that just feels wrong. Like that. It feels like it doesn't make sense, but it does make sense.
So they beat him and he either died from the beating or from blood loss, something.
Yes. But he was beaten to death.
Okay.
Shot to death. Beaten to death. So... Either way, about the car. So back to the car. Either way, I have questions about the car. So, number one, if they had their own vehicles, somebody in the neighborhood would have recognized it,
But if they lived in the neighborhood, then it wouldn't be weird.
It wouldn't be weird, but, like, somebody could have noticed them driving by when the kid went missing. But that was just, like, one thing. But then also, if they did a rental, wouldn't there be a record of them obtaining it?
Yes.
So, like, what is the point of obscuring the plates? But it was the 20s. So, yeah, and I actually have that. So, I'm like, it is the 20s. So, it's, like, not like we've got, like, security cameras and, like, all that.
Yeah, but so why would they need to obscure the plates if... Right? I would think, if they're trying to commit the perfect crime... They would probably get a secondary vehicle, but also if you're thinking about it, if it's in your neighborhood, people are less likely to remember a car that they see all the time
Yes.
than a different car.
Yes.
So, I mean, you could get a rental that was like your car or like another car in
or
the
was
neighborhood.
even less conspicuous.
Like that's possible, but
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think if their goal is to complete the perfect crime, which we know they got caught.
They
so.
definitely got caught. And how they got caught, you're going to be like, really? But, yeah, really? So, but the car, it doesn't matter. There's no here. It's neither here nor there because the car played no factor in getting them caught.
Okay.
But
I was just thinking about car.
Yeah, so they put him in the car, in a car. So, either way, let's dive a little deeper. Okay. So, now that the murder and the dumping of the body is over, Piff, do you think it gets better or worse from here?
It depends on your definition of better and worse.
So do you think it gets better for our crime committers or better? Better or worse?
Well, based on the fact that we know who they are, worse.
Right? Okay. So, how do you think they were caught? I want to know.
I think that the scrawny one confessed.
Okay.
I think he was like, I can't handle this. I don't know what to do. And he like went into a police station and was like, I killed that kid. And they were like, he's dead. And he was like, yep.
Okay. You're not completely wrong. That's not how they were caught, really, but that did happen. So, here we go. So it does get worse, obviously.
Of course.
So after they murdered Bobby and dumped his body, and then they proceeded to mail Bobby's family a ransom note asking for $10,000 in unmarked bills in exchange for their son's safe return. Knowing damn well that the kid was dead, they asked for a ransom for his safe return.
I have to tell you about a serial killer after this.
Okay. Like after we're done recording or like right now?
I'll tell you after we're done recording.
Okay.
I might do, technically I could do it as an episode because he picked up hitchhikers and dumped them into forests. So,
okay. So yeah, we could definitely do
But I want to tell you about the correlation between that situation and this guy.
Okay.
Because it's fucking wild.
It is wild. And I just am really upset. So, Bobby's family, sorry, scooch that across the table. Bobby's family received the note with the false hope that their son was still alive.
Yeah. Because that's what ransom notes do.
Yeah. And that if they paid the ransom that he would then be returned to them. However, before they could even get the money, because again, everybody in this neighborhood was wealthy. So like they knew they had the money. Yeah. And they were going to go and get it and pay it.
I was going to say even nowadays, like so let's say $10,000 in 1920s money is $100,000 now.
Yeah.
Wealthy people have that shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they might just have to like sell off some stocks or like move some things around, but like they'll pay it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, but before they could even like obtain the money from their bank and pay it, the police found his body. Because
so they were really not good at this.
No, they're really not good at this. So, the Frank family, as soon as they got the ransom note, got the police involved, obviously. Yeah. And because of that,
involved before. Their kid is missing.
He was missing, killed, and then the ransom came. Like, they didn't, like, mail it, like, long term. I'm pretty sure they, like, dropped it.
Oh, okay. I was like, their kid's been missing for at least days at this point.
Or he was missing for, like, a day. Like, they took it to the post office, it got delivered. You know? Like they did, like...
Mail was not that fast in the 20s.
It was not that fast. It's not that fast now. They would have had to,
like, drop it.
But I think they dropped it. That's actually not super duper clear.
Sometimes the mail is that fast now, depending on
where you're at
and where it's going.
Yeah. However, anyway, though, they got the letter, got the police involved. If the police weren't involved, whatever, their son went missing. And then, like, before they could even pay the ransom, the body was found.
Oh,
so
they were not good at this.
Okay. No, they definitely were not. So, Pip, what do you... Well, hold on. First, let me ask you this. Do you want to know what else they found in addition to the body?
Yes.
What do you think they found in addition to the body?
I'm assuming, like, the murder weapon.
Most likely, yeah. Yeah. I think it was there. They may have kept it in the car, to be honest. They were not very clear about that because, like... And you'll know here in a second. Like, the curveball I'm about to show you or tell you, which is, like, how they got caught, kind of, like, overtook everything else. And so there's not a whole lot of like,
so it's
this
something
is
like
what else was
real
found.
obvious? Was it like
It's
one of their
really
wallets?
obvious. It wasn't a wallet, but it was it might as well have been their wallet. So, but before I tell you what they did find, I'll tell you what they didn't find, or what I didn't find any evidence of them finding.
Okay.
So they didn't find any forensic evidence of any kind by the way of like fingerprints, fibers, blah blah blah. But it was the 1920s, so
DNA wasn't a thing yet.
DNA wasn't a thing yet. And forensic investigation wasn't what it is now. But also like Dick and Nathan were really careful about like when they got Bobby. They were really careful they didn't leave anything like where he was taken from, and there was no witnesses of him being taken or anything like that.
So for that part, they were careful. So for that and they got real dumb.
Yeah. So, like, they didn't leave anything behind at the kidnapping spot, but they should have been more careful and more mindful of the belongings that they brought with them to the crime scene, which technically wasn't really the crime scene. It was just the dumping scene, but still.
What's that called? Secondary location.
The secondary location. So the one thing that was left behind that the police found, and the only thing that linked them to this murder, which without they would have never gotten away with it. It was Nathan's glasses.
Oh.
His eyeglasses.
How
Hold on.
As somebody who wears glasses, how do you leave those somewhere?
I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't think if I saw your glasses on the street, I would be like, oh, those are Piff's glasses.
Well, these are $10 glasses. But, like, first of all, the prescription you could match.
Yeah.
Glasses weren't as common back then. What is that banging?
I have no idea what that banging is. It's probably your husband tenderizing the pork chops.
No.
No?
It sounds like it's coming from behind this wall. I think my neighbors might be having sex.
No, I keep hearing like glass hit together. I think it's your husband preparing dinner. 'Cause I don't feel anything.
Because to me it sounds like it's coming from behind me, which would be my neighbors.
To me it feels like it's coming from like this general direction, which like down the stairs like would make sense. I don't know.
Corner,
you should text him and be like, "Are you cooking?"
I'm gonna call him.
And this is the type of stuff that happens in our normal episodes that we typically cut out. But because this is Sad Stories, y'all get to come along with us.
Welcome to our lives.
I can hear it ringing.
My phone is very loud. Sorry, guys. I might edit this out. Hey, are you banging shit down there? Oh, we can like hear it up here, and I'm like, what the hell is that?
I was right. I knew it. I think I was wrong with like what he was doing, but I knew it was him.
Thank you. I just was concerned because it was like, it was very loud. All right. Okay. Bye.
Did you say he was using the mortar and pestle?
Yeah, because he has to grind seeds for this recipe.
Oh. It's not going to be hot, is it?
No, it's like dill and mustard seeds.
Oh, fun.
It's just for the sauce.
Okay.
It's not hot at all, I promise.
Cool. Okay, they're making me dinner. Well, they're making dinner, and I get to also eat it, rather.
We're making enough dinner for her to consume.
Yeah.
It's real good.
I'm excited. Okay. Anywho, yes, his glasses. So, according to homicide.northwestern.edu, quote,
EDU.
quote, the glasses had a special patented spring for the expensive horned rim frame, which had been sold in only one place in Chicago and purchased by only 3 people, including Nathan Leopold.
He's so dumb.
He is
also,
so dumb.
How do you leave your
How do you
glasses?
leave your glasses?
I need these to see. If I don't have them, I'm fucking blind.
Yep.
Like, how is that the thing you left behind?
I don't know. I don't know if maybe there was a scuffle. So maybe Bobby didn't die until the secondary location. And, like, they got knocked off his face.
Yeah.
And, like, he couldn't find them. I don't know. But I seriously doubt it because they were found in close enough proximity that they were like, These definitely came from the
and
dudes
if you're
that
paying
murdered
money
him.
for like special glasses, you probably really need them.
They weren't special by the way of like how well they helped him see. They were just expensive like frames. Yeah.
Which I guess if you're a little rich boy,
you get to do that.
Dang.
Yeah.
Only 3 people. You're one of the 3. You suck. See, the key is to have glasses like these, which were $10 from Discount Glasses.
Yeah.
And 1,000 people have them. I've literally met people and been like, I think we have the same glasses, and they have the same like dots and stuff.
Yeah.
These are like old though. I probably should get new ones. The like
I definitely need new
the
ones.
paint's coming off down here.
Yeah. I definitely need to make an eye appointment.
Oh, these are the correct prescription because my prescription hasn't changed, but they're old.
Yeah. Okay. So weird.
Very weird.
So when the police brought them into custody, which took no time at all, Nathan and Dick showed zero remorse and admitted to both police and the press in great detail
what the heck
what they had done. Some sources say they had practically bragged about committing the crime simply for the thrill of it.
Some people's children, man.
Right? Some people's kids. So, according to biography.com, quote, with the state's attorney of Cook County. Okay, wait, also, this is a really long quote, but it goes into, like, the attorney and, like, the legal process behind it and all that stuff. And I was like, I'm not rewording this. So, there you go.
Because it's legal jargon.
And it's, like, 3 paragraphs. And I was like, okay.
But legal jargon,
So, but I should say, the attorney who represented them, obviously, like, the boy's parents, like, paid out the butt to get a really good attorney. And he actually represented, like, later on after this case, he also represented a teacher who had been brought up on charges about teaching, wow, my brain, evolution.
Oh, the 20s, man.
In the schools, yeah. So, and, like, defended him and, like, got him off and, like, all that. I thought that was kind of cool.
Can I sidebar with an evolution teaching related story?
I'm going to limit you to, like, a minute.
I can do this in a minute.
Okay.
My freshman year, in biology, like, obviously we were learning about evolution, and my biology teacher kept being like, I'm the only science teacher you'll ever have that'll teach you creationism as well as evolution, which he never did. That's the whole story.
Not. Oh, okay. I really thought this was going to go a completely different direction.
No, he just kept saying that.
Like, I'm going to teach you creation and evolution. And
which, like, teaching creationism is, like, evolution isn't a thing. Like, God made everything all at the same time. That's the whole thing, if you wanted. But he just, like, kept saying that sentence while we were learning.
Maybe he thought, like, this is me teaching you, but it's like, no, dude.
Yeah, it was very weird.
Yeah.
And, like, I grew up in a very religious town and a religious household, so, like, I didn't need my science teacher to like, make a whole thing about it.
Yeah. I mean, I believe in evolution, but I also believe God created things to evolve and to grow
the fun thing is if you're a religious scientist, you can understand that they could both be true.
Yeah.
Because evolution is just the explanation. Creationism is how
it came to be. Yeah. But I had a teacher, actually. This pulled a memory way out of the back of my head that I've forgotten all about. So, I was in, like middle school. You should have kept your mic on, because, like, that was, like, a really satisfying, like, little... No, it's okay.
You were talking. I didn't want to pour over you here. I can keep going.
Yeah, keep going. It sounds really, like... I don't know. The pop of it coming out of the thing was really satisfying.
I'm sorry that I deprived you guys of that. I was trying to be polite.
Okay. Well, thank you for taking my feelings into consideration. I appreciate it. So I had a teacher at one point. I can't remember if it was middle school or high school. This memory is so far back in my brain. I don't know. It was all a blur. But I did have a teacher who was really, like, against, like, creationism, and, like, you could tell they were not very religious, if at all, and like all this stuff, which I'm like, whatever, dude, like, whatever floats your boat, whatever you believe in, like, that's up to you, like, that has nothing to do with me. But I found there's an infamous quote by Darwin, like, the evolution.
Well, like, Darwin was a Catholic monk.
I know, but, like, people like to forget that. But I was like, I did, like, a whole report on this because we were supposed to, but then I included this in my thing, and I had to share it in class. I was like, Darwin once said that, like, the eye like the human eye is way too intricate to have just
been out of chance.
Have just happened because.
Yeah. Well, and so
and I
I was a biology major for my first 2 years of college, so I know a lot about biology just because of that. I'm a science person. I'm better at math. Science is kind of hard for me, but whatever. It doesn't matter. So I took an invertebrate zoology class, and so in that, or vertebrate, not invertebrate, sorry. But in that class, we basically, our final was explain evolution from the beginning in 24 pages.
I'd be like, people have been working their entire careers to explain this.
Well,
and you
but
want
we
me
had
to
spent
do
the
it
whole
in 24
semester
pages?
studying it. So it was our final. It made sense. But the more I learned about the science behind it and how different species evolved into things, and obviously this happened over a millennia of years, blah, blah, blah. But the more I learned, the more I was convinced of, like, there is a God. Not that I wasn't, like, faithful before that, but it was like, there's no way, like, because it's just like, you know, by chance and breeding, because it's like a mutation happened, and then the mutation proved, like, strong, and then because of that, there was more reproduction, and so the mutation was passed on, and, like, that's how it kept happening. It's, like, the quick and dirty version. But all of that to lead up to where we are now, the likelihood, the statistical probability of it is just so small that knowing more about science makes you believe more that, like, to start it all off or to give it that little push, there had to be a higher power. And, like, I'm Catholic. Our Pope right now has, like, a master's in chemistry. He's very scientifically minded because
I like the Pope right now.
Oh, he's great.
I like reading, like, his statements and
but
stuff.
just because, like,
it rocks the boat, and I love it.
Oh, yeah. But just because you, like, are religious doesn't mean you can, like, deny facts.
Yeah. And many times, the two can live in harmony.
Yeah.
Like, you just have
they
to
almost always can. There is nothing that says that, like,
that
creationism and evolution are contradictory. They're not. They actually go hand in hand with each other.
Yeah.
You just have to, like,
people who say that.
Yeah, you have to be willing to actually learn about both and understand both on a very precise level. You can't just, like, whatever. There's my religious science rant for today.
There you go.
Hope you enjoyed that.
I hope you enjoyed me sneaking bites of cookie dough while she was talking too.
We all have our vices.
We do. So far, like for the last week or so, mine have been hibachi, chicken fried rice, and cookie dough. No, I'm not pregnant before you even bring it up.
That's not what I was gonna ask. I was trying to remember but I'm always like a salt person.
Yeah.
So I've eaten like so much popcorn and like chips.
Yeah. Okay.
It's because I don't drink enough water.
Me too. Okay. So.
Okay, so they're in
custody.
They've told everybody they've done it. They have expensive lawyers.
Yes.
How did we get
on an expensive lawyer to cover the both of them, which I'm just kind of like, why? But okay.
How did we get on that tangent? I don't remember.
This was biography.com. But then also, no, because I was talking about the guy who's representing them later represented a teacher.
Oh,
yeah,
for teaching evolution.
Yeah,
we're back. We've made it.
We've made it full circle. Okay. So the rest of my notes is this quote.
Okay.
From biography.com. It's only 3 paragraphs, but here we go. So quote: with the state's attorney of Cook County, Robert Crow, seeking the death penalty, the families of, and I'm going to use their first names instead of their last names. This quote says their first names, or their last names, but I don't want to get confused. So their first names is what I'm going to be using. The families of Dick and Nathan hired prominent criminal defense lawyer Clarence Darrow to represent their sons.
Darrow?
Darrow.
Darrow.
Darrow. Darrow.
I would say Darrow.
Darrow. Okay. Choosing to enter a guilty plea in order to remove a jury from the proceedings of their sons, which honestly is probably the only smart thing that they've done this entire time.
They've done a lot of dumb stuff.
So choosing to enter the guilty plea in order to remove a jury from the proceedings and have a judge determine the verdict, which that poor judge, but okay. Darrow sought to stave off the death penalty by portraying his clients as mentally ill and that their actions were driven by traumatic events from childhood.
Did they have traumatic events in their
sound
child?
It doesn't sound like it.
It sounds like they lived a privileged life.
They did. And in many things that I read, they were referred to as privileged.
You know it's real when the news refers to you that way.
As privileged. So...
Wow.
I saw nothing that would indicate that they were abused or that they had any... I mean, they had a rough childhood in the way that they were very bright, they were very smart and advanced, and so they were picked on a lot, I guess. But
so was Spencer Reed, and he joined the behavioral analysis unit.
Because a fictional character can relate.
I'm just saying, it's your choice. Like,
yeah, and like... There are several people who accelerated through school quickly who lived long, meaningful, productive lives.
Yeah, you had a choice here.
Yeah, it definitely.
And you chose.
Yeah, it definitely. Let me remember who it was. Okay, so Dickie or Dick, charmed people. You know, he definitely seems more like the evil mastermind, and then Nathan.
I was saying Nathan was like this scrawny, awkward kid. I can see him getting pulled in.
Yeah, and like he was in love with Dick, and so he just wanted his affection, and so would do anything. And there were many accounts that said he would do anything for him.
You know what's interesting? When people truly love you back, they won't ask you to do anything for them.
They won't put you in situations like this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If someone is, then they're an asshole, and they don't actually care for you.
Yep. So,
hot
take. Continuing on with the quote, with the public closely following the details of the crime of the century, which it was dubbed at that point, both the prosecution and defense paraded a series of leading psychologists and witnesses to the stand to make their case. Durow gave an impassioned speech as part of his closing remarks, which lasted for 3 days.
What?
It says for a whopping 3 days.
How is that possible?
They had to go have recess between.
No, but I feel like there should be a time limit on your closing remarks.
There definitely should be, and I think there is now.
Probably.
And so this thing lasted for 3 days, and may have helped to sway the judge. Which, yeah, probably. If you have to listen to somebody go on and on for 3 days, yeah. But on September 10th, 1924, so this took place in May. The crime took place in May.
Okay. So by September,
Nathan and Dick were spared the death penalty, but each received a life sentence plus 99 years for the kidnapping and murder. While serving his sentence in, I think this is like Joliet, even though it's not spelled that way, but I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be Joliet, Illinois Penitentiary.
Joilet?
It's Joliet. Joliet. Okay, now I have to remember which is which because I didn't change the last names. Dick while serving his sentence in Illinois, Dick was viciously attacked and killed in 1936 by his cellmate, James Day, who claimed he had made sexual advances toward him.
Oh, well.
He was probably bored and was upset he no longer had a little puppet to toy around with.
That's probably
That's
true.
my hot take.
I'm not going to say you're wrong.
Nathan was eventually granted parole in March of 1958. He fled to Puerto Rico, where he taught mathematics at the University of Puerto Rico. Yeah, he taught math. How you like that?
That makes sense.
She was a math teacher.
I was a math teacher.
And also published, and I don't know how to pronounce this word. Ornithological?
Oh, yeah, birds.
Did I do that right?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. He published a book about that. And in 1961, he married a widowed American social worker named Trudy Feldman. And on August 30th, 1971, he died of a diabetes-related heart attack.
Interesting.
End quote. An end of my notes.
I have a statement. Okay. So they called this the crime of the century
at that point. But I think it was just because
wasn't
of
the 20s
audacity.
when H.H. Holmes was happening in Chicago?
Yes, but I think that happened after this.
Okay, but I'm just saying, you weren't even the crime of the decade, my dude.
You were the crime of the while it was happening.
Yeah, you were the crime of Chicago 1924, but then by, I don't remember what year H.H. Holmes, really was happening in, but he was definitely the 20s in Chicago. So, You didn't even have that city on lockdown for that decade. Somebody else came along, and H.H. Holmes was a fucking monster. Don't misquote me on that.
That's
Devil in the White City.
Yeah.
Yeah, World's Fair.
One moment.
Okay. When was H.H.? But I'm just saying, like, that's just so funny to me that, like, these two teenagers who murdered a child, which granted, this is horrible. I don't want to downplay that. And, like, I'm glad that they got a life sentence and all of that jazz. But the way the press was like, oh, it's the crime of the century. I'm like, you had no idea what was coming. No, the World's
Fair was in 1893.
So it had happened before. So it's within the century. You're just still wrong.
Yeah. Well, that had happened. So these guys happened in 1924.
So are they saying like the crime of the 1900s? The 19th century. Because I'm like, it's within the last 100 years.
Yeah. But H.H. Holmes was definitely way bigger. I might have to do a episode on that. I need to finish that book. Yeah. I just got so annoyed. I want to read it too. I got so annoyed because it's like different perspectives. And
because it's like it's historically accurate.
It is. Yeah. It is. It honestly is the most historically accurate, like, historical novel I've ever read in my life.
I'll bring that up later when we're not recording. I have a thought.
Okay. But that's all that I have.
Wow.
So it was, I mean, it wasn't necessarily, like, you know, hugely scandalous or, you know, surprising.
But it was like
crime. But it just makes you go, why?
People are
But it
so
is
dumb.
weird. I mean, and I feel like the boys, at least Dick, definitely fits into the mold of, like, you know, the triad, like, like
it's
harmed animals,
peeing your bed, setting fires.
Like, I haven't heard I didn't read anything that said that he did any of those things, but I would not be surprised if he did, because he I mean, both of them were like, yeah, we did it just because we could, and like blah blah blah. But he definitely seems like the one who would be completely devoid of any emotion about it.
He was like, hey, Nathan,
we did it just because we can.
I know you love me. If you really loved me, you would help me murder this kid. I could also see, like, the narcissism in that. Mm-hmm. Like, we are going to commit the perfect crime. Blah, blah, blah. I'm going to leave my glasses that allow me to see there.
Oh, it was Nathan's glasses.
Whatever. I'm still, like, shook at that's the thing. Like, how did you...
I don't know how you would leave
things
those.
That I could leave
unless he
somewhere.
only needed them, like, to read or like whatever, and so they were in
readers.
A pocket.
Yeah,
and so like if he like bent to like dump the body, they came out, but you wouldn't notice.
Yeah, I could see that, but if they're like glasses that actually help you get along in the world, I just don't understand.
I don't understand either. And it just I don't know, and sorry. In that biography.com, that reference is actually telling you a lot more about Nathan, more so than both of them. It had a couple of details about the crime that I used, but I gained a lot of my understanding of Nathan from that, because it was a lot of like firsthand accounts of like what he said and things like that, which is kind of interesting. But he seemed to, like, later in life, seemed to have a lot more remorse for what they had done, and a lot more like. Which also, again, remember, catch the thing that he married a woman, you know, like, like, he probably just has a lot of remorse and a lot of guilt for, like, that whole season of his life. And he went on to, like, teach and things like that, which is wild. I know. Yeah. Also, I didn't mention this in my thing, but a lot of the notes said this, and I probably should have, but I'm mentioning it now. When they separated them at the police station, each one said the other dealt the deadly blows.
That's just dumb.
So I would believe Nathan that it was Dick.
Well, I don't know. I could believe that Dick convinced Nathan to do it. Oh, no, yeah.
I could for sure do it. But I also feel like Nathan probably, like, lost his affection for him. Because he was so infatuated with him. I can see him being like, it was me. I did it. But the fact that he said that it was
the other
him,
one did it. He was like, yeah, I've realized some things.
Yeah, and I could definitely see Dick being like, no, it was Nathan for sure.
Oh, yeah. Well, Dick's not going to take the blame even if he did do it, because he's a narcissist. I'm not a doctor.
Yeah.
Every time I, like, give somebody a name, I feel like I need to be like, but I'm not a doctor, so I'm just saying things.
I think narcissist fits.
I just bought a microphone. I don't know.
Yeah, we're just here. We just started a podcast. But,
well,
yeah, that's what I've got.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this November episode of Sav Stories. I know I did.
I'm glad you did. I enjoyed reading about it.
Yeah. And you're already here, so you know where to find us. Thank you so much for supporting us. If you have any suggestions for Sav, be sure to let her know. You can contact us via email, social media, comment on this video, whatever you want to do. So, we love you.
We love you guys.
Thank you for
so
supporting
much for your
us.
support. In the meantime,
stay safe out there.